What's up, YouTube? It's your friend Miriam, aka Lucky Number 78, and I'm here again with a box you may have thought you'd never see from me again. It is your toy box. Alright, so let's crack this open and see what's inside. Now, as many of you may remember, I had said I was not going to get this box anymore, but I did leave it open for y'all to tell me if you thought that was a bad idea, and the response was pretty overwhelming. I just didn't think it was right to get rid of it right away, so I decided to put it off for a month and give it one more chance. So let's see what's in this month's Your Toy Box and see if I made the right decision. And thank you very much, everyone, for your feedback. Well, I just took off the plastic wrap, and there is a lot of Mystic Force staring me in the face. The first thing looks badass, but I think is missing a lot of pieces, or at least one piece. And that is this awesome Mystic Force toy, which, unfortunately, I've never seen Mystic Force, but I can recognize the branding for sure of Magi Ranger or Mystic Force. It looks like this would transform into some kind of animal. In fact, it looks like a head flips. There's clearly a compartment here and something that would attach here that doesn't. But I can't get this part to open. So if any of you knows what the mechanic is, I can't quite figure it out. I've tried pushing on the belt buckle and pushing on the head. But the joints are solid. The paint job is really nice. Overall, for 10 years ago, this is a really high quality, there's sort of a fading here from white to purple, and there is on the other side as well. It looks really nice. So I'm certain that once I watch the show, this is something I'll play with, but I am looking forward to just a little more information about what makes it go. It does have little feet here that I assume are some kind of transformation. The legs, the feet tuck in like that. And there are additional legs up on the shoulders as well. That's a good first piece. Next up, I'm guessing that this was a piece in a larger set. It looks really cool from the front. You've got this sort of horse head with a robot or mech face in the front. You've got really nice paint here. This is obviously some kind of Megazord from Mystic Force, but the back is awful. No paint. These are hollow completely. The whole thing feels about, so cheap that I could, break it by breathing on it wrong. But from this side, it's really cool. It's got these wolf heads. So, as a display piece, it's pretty cool. What's interesting is that on this back part, with no paint or anything, there are really good molded lines here and here. So obviously, this is a dumbed down version of something really cool, either that we got in a standalone set in the States, or that they only got in Japan. But if anyone knows a little more about this, please tell me about that too. Next up, unfortunately, this is something they can't help, but is something I already have. Now, it is in much better shape than the one I have, which is, a nice thing to be able to say. I got this very recently at a Goodwill. Unfortunately, the electronics don't work. This should either do sounds or light when you press this button. The paint is much better than mine, and mine doesn't even have these wings, much less the semi-retractable nature of them. Now, let's see, I think this detaches, yes. This does detach, and you can change the batteries. So I'm guessing it's not actually broken, I just have to change the batteries. But when you press this down, the wings flap. Which is great, because I had the figure without this. I didn't even know this existed until this moment. So this is awesome. Next up, we have another toy with electronics. Let's see if it works. This is not one I previously owned. As anybody who's talked to me about the current season of Super Sentai Zyuohger knows, although I haven't mentioned it very much on this channel, I love a female Blue Ranger, so I really need to watch this show. But, well, the electronics do not work, but I would say it's worth a try to replace the battery. The sculpt is magnificent. I don't know how much of the sculpt I can show very well, but there is some really nice detail on there. Yeah, that shows it pretty nicely, actually. There's nice detail on the helmet as well as on this chest plate. I'm assuming this is an armored, super-powered version of the Ranger that probably everybody got. Probably every Ranger got. But I am usually a big fan of these power-ups. I like the Super Samurai, all that. Speaking of, next up we have the 4-inch tall Blue Samurai figure. I did like this line. I never collected them because I wasn't really into Power Rangers at the time, but these are the ones that were out when I first started watching Super Sentai. So I do have a soft spot in my heart for this 4-inch line, and this is actually the first of these that I've ever had. Because when I first started watching Gokaiger, not as a new show, but a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago in college, this is what was new and cool at Walgreens. So probably not that new and cool. But they do have good articulation. They are really a lot of the precedent for the really cool 5-inch figures that came out for Super Megaforce, which I really enjoyed that line and collected really hard. So this is really cool. There is some paint that goes onto the back there, which I really like. The kanji on his face looks really cool. He is a little over-muscled like most Power Rangers figures, but you almost never see paint on the boots, and here there's paint in 2 places on the boots, which is nice. So, for a pretty standard little 4-inch figure, this is pretty nice, and it has articulation all over the place for this kind of thing. So, that'll look really nice on my shelf of Power Rangers. Next up, we have a Pokemon. And it is a Pokemon I identify immediately as Gengar. He actually is purple. He doesn't look purple particularly on this video, but he does show up pretty nicely purple in real life. He is made by Tomy, which is nice that he's not a knockoff, because there are so many Pokemon bootlegs out there. Even at reputable stores, people will sell you Pokemon bootlegs. Especially if a first-generation Pokemon, it's really cool to have one that's not a bootleg. The only paint is on his face. It's really cute. He also has a little gray on his little hands and feet and on his back spikes. Super cool. Glad to have him. And the last thing in here is a Game Boy Advance game in this little case that probably costs more than the game, because the game is Spider-Man for Game Boy Advance. Now, I have not played Spider-Man for Game Boy Advance, but I will bet you anything that it's a terrible game. But recently I've gotten much more into video game collecting. Actually, I intend to do soon a video of my recent pickups in my gaming collection. So, frankly, this comes at a great time for me. It's not a game I already had, even though I have a large Game Boy Advance collection. So I am very pleased to get this, especially in this cool little case that actually says Game Boy Advance SP, which dates it probably as having come out right around the same time as the game. So that's really cool. Let's recap this real quick. Spider-Man, the game. Mystic Force Megazord with working wings, unlike the figure I already had, which is so cool. Mystic Force Blue. Gengar, a ghost Pokemon from the original first generation of Pokemon. Samurai Blue, Power Ranger. Sick-ass purple Mystic Force dude, which I don't know what's going on here. Someone's going to have to tell me. And if I had to guess, I'd say it's this guy's Megazord. Glad I brought your toy box back for another month because that was one of their best ever. There are still some flaws. I still feel that I could have gotten this most probably for $25, which is the cost of the box. I probably could have gotten all of this at a toy store, retro store, video game store, but it is a really exciting box to unbox. This was one of their best ever. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment is even better. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, stay beautiful. Peace.